Why does he need to move as well? It's hard that my kids don't want to live close to me. Yeah, absolutely. What is it about North Carolina that has people moving there? It's insane.
I'm in no rush.
Yeah, right? Because you're done now with your military stuff.
Yeah, military ended yesterday.
How does that feel? It's a chapter of your life. It's over.
And I am relieved.
Hey besties, welcome back to my channel. Okay, Christine Brown Woolley, she is dealing with some turmoil in her life, apparently, because all of her kids are moving away from her and are moving to North Carolina. Okay. And in a new clip that was just posted, Christine discusses that Paedon is moving to North Carolina. Mykelti has just moved to North Carolina, and that basically the kids, or at least two of them, have chosen to live near Janelle, and that this makes her feel like a bad mom. And Christine's, I would say, I don't know if it's a change in her dynamic. I don't know if it's a change in her personality. I don't know if it's because the family is splitting further apart from one another as they get further away from each other. I don't know if it's that she's married and she's been married now for 2 years with David for 3. I really don't know, but fans, if you go on to the subreddit that has all the sister wives chatter, there are becoming a lot more posts with people very critical of Christine, talking about how they are no longer on the bandwagon, calling her behavior insufferable, not really understanding why she's acting the way she is. Some didn't like her response to when Mykelti moved. Others are not liking her reaction to the kids moving to North Carolina. And others are, I guess, at a little bit of a burnout. Maybe they're seeing a different side to Christine that they didn't see before. I don't really know. Okay. But that her behavior this year has made people feel some type of way. I think part of this is in grief. I think a lot of this has to do with grief. I think a lot of it has to do with the stress that the kids were under related to this split between all of the family members. I think some of the family members have been more vocal, some have been less vocal. I think Christine's decisions have been very different than Janelle's decisions. But I also think you have to factor in how much of an impact the death of Garrison had on these kids. And I know for Mykelti, because I've watched her Patreon and I listen to what she says, that for the oldest kids, at least for Mykelti and for Aspen, one of the most challenging aspects for them as the oldest daughters was the pressure that they were under to not just be daughters, but almost to have to be parents to their younger siblings and a parent to Christine, because they had to support Christine emotionally. They had to be Christine's place of comfort and safety, which is a flip for what parents and children go through. It's a parentification. And if you have to rely on your children for emotional support, it puts the kids in an uncomfortable dynamic. And for the oldest daughters, it made them feel like they had to put their lives on hold in order to be Christine's mom, not just the daughter. And parentification is what happens in polygamy when the kids have to raise their siblings, when the kids become in an unequal position with their parent, where they're the ones mediating relationships, they're the, support system. It's psychologically, it can mess with kids' heads. And I think Christine, in her mind, was the favorite, right? Because she didn't have as many rules. The kids all gravitated towards her when she was younger. She was the mom that stayed at home. And I think she's built her identity in her mind that she's the favorite mom. She was the mom. And I think she's always viewed Janelle not as the mom, but as the one that worked. And I think right now her identity within the family or even within the structure has been completely rocked as some of the kids are showing with their feet where they want to go. But if you look historically on what Christine has done, she hasn't always put the needs of her kids first. And that's fine for adult kids. I mean, when she decided to move from Vegas to Flagstaff and she left Aspen and Mitch, who literally had just moved there to get to know the family, she didn't seem to have any qualms about it, right? Paedon didn't really live in Lehigh. He lived down in St. George. There was Mykelti, who moved out very young and never really lived by them until Christine left Cody and was only by her for a couple years. And then that became too much for Mykelti. So Christine's now going to be flipping on Janelle, and it's making her foundation of who she is, I guess, fragile.
You were mentioning you might sign up someday again in North Carolina.
I very, very possibly could sign on to the Guard in North Carolina. It's just, I wanted it to end. Garrison moved to Flagstaff and attempted to transfer to the Arizona Guard. Was trying to transfer for a year before it finally went through right before
he died, it went through.
Seriously?
Garrison was Paedon's best friend, and they joined the military together.
I kind of understand Paedon moving to North Carolina, even before he explains why he does it. It kind of made sense to me from the whole history of this family. If you know anything about Paedon, he was the only boy of 6 kids between Cody and Christine. Because he was the only boy, he had a brother, Garrison, who was like 6 months younger than him, that was in a home with Janelle. And Garrison and he were always so close when they were kids. They were always together. And if you've ever heard Garrison or even Paedon, Garrison speak before he passed away, or Paedon, they always spoke about how close they were. Like they were best friends. They were always together. They did join the military together. They just were besties. And because of how close he was with Garrison, a lot of times after the split, Paedon would go to spend holidays not with Christine, but also with Janelle and her kids because of the fact that he spent so much time in Janelle's home growing up. And Paedon, as much as he runs his mouth, has for years been very clear that Janelle is as much of a mom to him as Christine because he feels like he grew up in Janelle's home as much as he grew up in his mom's home because he was always with Garrison and Gabe. Always. They were his best friends. And because there were brothers in that other house, he was always over there. I mean, there was 4 brothers in that house. It makes sense to me why he would want to be close to Janelle. That's like his comfort. That's where he feels safe. It doesn't really shock me. And then you also have to remember that within Christine's own family dynamic, Paedon was apprehensive to accept David. He doesn't accept David as a stepfather. He said that online on TikTok. I don't know where he's at today with David, but that's what he said early on. Christine and David's relationship moved really, really fast. And for some of the kids, that was too much for them. I know a lot of people say, fine, whatever. I'm just not trying to harp on Christine here. That was just the perspective of her kids, was that she moved really fast. And then, David also has 8 kids, so they have to blend families. And that's another big change, right? And so with Janelle, there's less upheaval because she doesn't have a new partner. There's not new kids that are being introduced into the family or dynamics. It's literally just, I'm going to go with Janelle. She doesn't have a partner. I'm going to go spend time with Maddie, who I love her partner, Caleb, right? It's more chaotic for some of them for the amount of change that they've gone through.
So many parts of their life when they've been together and they've been a unit. They were frickin' frack when they were younger. That's what Cody called them, was frickin' frack. They've just been a unit. It's Paedon Garrison.
Janelle lost a son and I lost a best friend. And I really want to be close to her. I really want to be close to Maddie's kids. I really want to be close to Maddie because I just lost a huge chunk of me and it's not here. I'm trying to find something that isn't here.
So what I don't necessarily understand for Christine is that she knows that her son is close to Janelle. She knows that he was very close to Garrison, Madison, and also Mykelti. Mykelti and Paedon were always super close, like very, very close. So it makes me wonder why, as her kids are moving away, why her natural reaction is for her to think that she's a bad mom and why she's somehow viewing this as though they're picking Janelle over her like it's some kind of competition. It all just seems so bizarre to me because Christine publicly has said for a very long time she has her best life. She's got her vacation rentals. She has her beautiful house in Utah. She has David and their amazing life together. So I guess I'm having a hard time with her being jealous of her kids who are adults that she didn't live by anyway, because Paedon, again, lived in Lehigh or lived in St. George and only briefly moved up, I think, to the Lehigh area. Why she would be shocked that he would move. The kids, none of them ever really found a place that was their home base because they moved so much. And naturally, when something emotional happens, the reaction of the family has always been to move away from the pain. So I guess in a way, Paedon is just doing what he's learned from his family.
One of the best things about plural marriage is what I wanted most for my kids was that relationship with their other mom. And so I've got Paedon, who is so close to Janelle. She's someone that I trust. I trust her influence on Paedon. It feels like sometimes I feel like a crappy mom because they're not choosing to live next to me. Sometimes I feel like Janelle's a better mom because they're choosing to live next to her.
You know, what I find is odd here is that when Janelle's boys were picking Christine and when they really wanted to be with Christine and spend the holidays with Christine, they never actually got together with Christine for the holidays, right? And Janelle never spoke negatively about the fact that Christine had a very close relationship with Maddie or Garrison or Gabriel, about how much the kids loved her and how much they felt pulled to her and they orbit around her. She always acknowledged the importance of her kids' relationship with Christine. That never was Janelle saying, I feel like I'm a crappy mom because my kids feel a natural pull to Christine. It was more like, I'm glad that they have this great relationship with Christine and that they love her. But again, when they had the opportunity to try to combine families to have a holiday together, at least in the very beginning of the split, it never happened, even though Garrison and Gabriel acknowledged they wanted to spend Thanksgiving with Christine. They said they'd go wherever she went. And Christine loved that the kids revolved around her, and Janelle thought it was sweet. But now, on the flip, when Christine's kids want to be closer to Janelle, that's just not really reciprocated. She says things like, I'm really glad they have this relationship with Janelle. I'm really glad that they love Janelle, but it also makes me feel like a crappy mom because they're not picking me. And then this soundbite, and I don't know if this is the editing, I'm sure it is, but this soundbite is coming after a very heartfelt admission by her son saying that I feel like I've left something here. I don't have anything here. I need to find a way to be close to Garrison. And I want to be with Janelle because she has lost a son. I have lost a brother. I want to feel like I'm with Garrison. I want to feel like I'm with his family, right? And the reaction is, I'm upset that they're not picking me. And if it's the producers doing her dirty, that's crappy for the producers, right? But in the same episode, she also is going to say that Janelle needs to shut up about having all the grandchildren near her, as though, Janelle's winning and it's still a competition. I've never noticed Janelle compete with Christine in respect to how their relationships work. I have noticed that Christine was very competitive with all the other women. I have also noticed that Mary also was very competitive with all the other women. So I don't know if it's just the ugly head of the jealousy that's still part of polygamy. I don't know. But, it also can be that, you know what? They have no one else to focus on. Like, they're not fighting with Cody anymore. Mary's out of their lives. So now Christine has someone else to be jealous of, which is Janelle. And it's just really crappy timing for this to be her thought because Garrison has passed away and there's grief happening within the family. So I think it's just all being clouded. But fans that are watching this don't like it. They're very divided on it. They don't like Christine's response. They don't like her response to her kids. They don't like the pressure she's putting on her kids. They don't like that, she's gloating all the time about her amazing life with David. They find her to be insufferable. I mean, go to the Sister Wives subreddit and you'll see so many posts that are now against Christine, where it used to be a haven where everyone supported her. And now it's like, Christine, why are you acting like this? Christine, what are you doing? What is this? Can't you just be happy? I think the story here isn't that you can say you have your happily ever after. You can say that everything is great and done and well, and you're living your best life, but actions definitely speak louder than words. And if you're still having feelings of resentment and jealousy and all of that, it just makes me wonder, like, how fragile this relationship between Janelle and Christine really is. And even Mykelti said last week on her Patreon that if they weren't sister wives, they wouldn't be friends. Like, they're two different people. They have very different ideas about life. They have very different personalities. They have very different morals and goals. They're just so different that they would not be friends. So how fragile is this now if they're going to start turning on each other? Especially when Janelle's going through such incredible and immense grief. This is how death can absolutely cause divisions in family, because grief makes people react in really irrational ways. So tell me what your thoughts are in the comments below. Make sure to give this video a thumbs up. Make sure to subscribe to my channel if you haven't subscribed, and click the bell so you never miss a video. Thanks so much for watching. Bye, besties.